and welcome to the SaaSy Talks. This is by far the most special episode that I am going to do in SaaSy Talks in my last 3 months of journey. Obviously, you can see why is it special. We have the horns on, right? And it is a physical, face-to-face podcast, the first that I'm doing, and I'm really, really excited. I guess you can already, recognize my guest for today with the horns and the lovely Chief Marketing Officer of Bugasura. Welcome, Rapti, to the SaaSy Talks. Are you excited for this episode?
I'm super excited. I've been excited about this for the last 1 month.
Yeah, last one. Right?
We've been planning this for a while, but
right.
it just gets busy. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's how life is.
That's how life is.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 weeks back, Rapti had announced on a LinkedIn that we're going to be doing a podcast, and it's taken us 4 weeks, but it's going to be great. It's also the first time, actually, Rapti, I can say that there are people waiting for this podcast. It's my first podcast that people are waiting for.
A lot of pressure on me.
Lots of pressure, Rapti. You have to perform, just like you've been performing so well, and that's the reason now you are the CMO of Bugasura. Right. And we're going to start with that, but before that, let me just give an indication that we are
on air with Bugasura.
Lights are on.
Yes, my lights are on.
Perfect. So, Rapti, let's start. I know it's been a while since we, decided to do this. One very important question that I want to ask: how has it been being the CMO of Bugasura? Just being the CMO, not really specific to Bugasura, but that position, that kind of a responsibility. Yeah. How's it been?
I think I'll tell you my journey, right?
Absolutely.
To begin with. I started off my career as an internet journalist.
Oh.
And I did that because first from college, I got placed in ICICI. Okay, you want to keep it there?
Yeah, it's falling now.
It's all right. So I started off my journey as an internet journalist.
Yeah.
So straight out of college, I got placed in ICICI Bank, and on day one, I quit.
Oh.
Why? Because I went there and I saw the mahal, and I saw that this is not the place that I really want to be. And I didn't want to sit behind no offense to the people who are doing doing the work, but this was not something that I saw myself doing. And after quitting, I wanted to get into writing, and I was always a writer. So in school, in college, I was editing magazines for the school. Some of my articles got published in Times of India.
Nice.
And I always had that knack for writing. And my parents were always like, "Okay, you do whatever you want. We're not going to force you into a certain career direction." They've always let me take my decisions, right? Once I got out of college and I got placed here, and the first day I quit, my mom was like, "Kya kare? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I know. I want to get into writing. I want to pursue this as a serious career." And while I did have the knack and the flair for writing, there was no formal training as sorts, right? Like, how do you write? How do you craft a headline? How do you craft shorter sentences? How do you capture readers' attention? Right. None of that was there. So when I joined International Business Times as a reporter, and I had a very good mentor there. Ms. Bharti Jaishankar mentored me to write well.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I was writing 500-word articles and editing 6 500-word articles by other reporters every day for 2 years.
Wow.
I did this for 2 years, and I can say that this has been the most rigorous content training that I've got.
Sure.
I used to write for US real estate market. I used to write for global business. And the business model over there was that once some of 4 or 5 articles of yours hit like 100,000 page views, they flip over that website, they sell it off, and then we are moved to another website.
Okay.
Right? So this was a subsidiary of International.
Understood.
And 2 of my websites got flipped off. There was Jobs and Hire, and there was Reality Today. 2 of my websites got flipped off, and I was starting to get bored. 2 years there, what next? Okay, I'm writing these stories. Okay, I'm editing these stories. What next? I wanted to do something that I would feel fulfilled doing. Like, am I creating the right kind of impact? And what happened next was the startup industry at that time in Bangalore had just begun.
Okay.
Right? This was around 2012, 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
Around 14, 15, right? And I joined a very early stage startup at that time. It was also bootstrapped. It was started by a bunch of SAP guys. They were trying to create a social media network.
Okay.
And that time the market was not ready for a social network like that. It was called Affinity.
Okay.
What it would do is it would connect people based on certain passions. So, for example, if you are interested in podcasts, I'm interested in podcasts, we create a channel and we hang out there, and
Okay.
and more people add in those channels. It's somewhat of a mix of a Clubhouse and Twitter sort of thing, right? I was doing content population there. I was doing content distribution there, but because the market was not ready at that point, in 2 years the company shut down.
Okay.
So very early on, I had a 0 to 1 experience and a 0 to 1 failure.
Right.
So I knew that this is how startups are going to be. And what I learned over there was that it's very important to have focus on what you're building, why you're building, and where you're going. And if you're not talking to your customers very early on in the journey, it's going to become extremely difficult for you to understand what to build. And even if your market is ready at that point, right? Suppose that post my company shutting down, we used to work out of a house. It was like a startup house, right? Like it was a duplex wala ghar. Dev team is sitting on the ground floor. Marketing team were like 3 people sitting on the top floor, right? It was like that. And it was a very interesting experience. And once that got done, I joined Instamojo. I think I spent the longest time there, 5.5 years.
Nice.
Why? Akash, the CEO, took a chance on me at that time as a content marketer. I joined as a content writer and a content marketer there. And I joined Instamojo when we were like 30 people, around 30 people. Okay. We saw the company grow to 250, 200 plus people, right? And they also did payments, and then they also pivoted into e-commerce. Right. So I saw 2 parts of the journey for Instamojo. They're doing really nicely right now as well. At Instamojo, I think being surrounded by entrepreneurs, because I was in the marketing, in the content space, and I was talking to customers every day, interviewing them, understanding their journeys. And these are small businesses, right? Like there was this one lady who, was selling saris, and she wanted to, make this a very, very serious business. She used to go live on Facebook and she used to sell it like, ye sari itte ka hai, dekh lo, type, that kind, like it was a marketplace kind of thing that she was doing. And similar, so many stories. There was a guy sitting in the Himalayas building a business out of cold pressed oil and distributing it across the world from the Himalayas. Like it was very inspiring, right? And I think the culture itself at Instamojo was so entrepreneurial that there are several people or alumni, if I might, of Instamojo who have gone on to become entrepreneurs today. And that's where I learned that, I want to do something entrepreneurial. I want to, and I was always entrepreneurial there too. So I started as a content marketer, went on to lead the entire brand and marketing function for Instamojo, right? Okay. So why did that happen over the course of 5 years? Was because I was extremely I was very good at working cross-functionally and understanding what are the blockers and how can I help remove them. And because a company cannot function in an independent functional way, you have to work as a team, you have to work collaboratively for it to grow, right? So that was my initial thing. I think I had a lot of fun learning and understanding how a business runs and how things work in marketing and brand as well. And 5.5 years later, you might ask me, you spent so much time, why did you move out after 5.5 years? Several people have asked me this question. I was caught by imposter syndrome. Right? And I was like, I spent so much time here. I literally know this, but if not this, can I do anything else? What if I just pivoted full 180 degree, right? Will I still be able to do it? And, when I was looking so I left Instamojo last year in around June. And after that, I took a 2 months break and I was wondering, what should I do next? And, speaking to so many marketers in the entire network and everything, I think one thing that came across very, very clearly was that marketers don't like doing dev tools. Okay, they just do not like marketing dev tools. I think it's an extremely difficult, ICP to crack. Right. And for me, it was like, okay, if everybody is going away from this, then I want to do this.
Nice.
I don't know if I'll fail. I might fail. And a lot of my marketer friends said, yeah, don't do this. Don't go for an early stage dev tool and all of that, because you don't know what you're going to be for. You might get caught into, certain spirals where you think that you're already feeling that you can't do anything else other than this.
Yeah.
So this was a very big trench for me to fall into. And I said, no, let's just fuck it. Let's just do it. And, when I met Pradeep and Avinash, Pradeep is our CEO and Avinash is our CTO of Bugasura. When I met them, I think the clarity in vision, at least, of what they want to do and the experience that they bring into the market, right? So a little bit context about Bugasura and Mulya.
Please.
Bugasura's parent company is Mulya Software Testing, and Mulya Software Testing has been in the testing industry for about 13 years now. And Pradeep has been a leader in the software testing space for about 20 years now. And Mulya does software testing for some of the biggest unicorns, right? Like Hotstar, Flipkart, PhonePe. And having been in the industry for so long, they really understood how quality impacts revenue. Quality of a product, how does that impact you, right? So it made sense for them to, this was a services company, Mulya is a services company. It made sense for them to bring that pedigree into a product, which is Bugasura. So Bugasura is about 2 years old now, and multiple pivots have happened in terms of positioning, in terms of the market, etc. And we're still, I wouldn't say that we're still arrived.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work to get done, and there is a lot of market to understand as well. And one thing about DevTool is that if it's not a life-changing product, it's not going to work. Like, for example, there are several tools in the markup space, which you are very familiar with. How many competitors do you see for each and every tool?
Yeah.
At least 10 in each and every category. It works because it's a very pricing game and small feature games, but then it's not the same for a dev tool, because marketers are plenty, but developers or development leaders, engineering leaders itself as an ICP are very what would I say, very, very loyal people who like their tools and who can cut through the marketing gimmicks very fast. Because they know they're building the same thing, so they know this is just crap. Don't sell crap to me. I know I already have a setup. I'd rather build this than buy it from you.
I think that's one bit that every developer thinks, like, I can build this.
Yes. So why should I buy it?
Exactly.
Right? It's just a no-brainer for me. Do din baituma, I'll finish it.
Right.
So what is it that we can do to make their lives easier? And what is it that we can do to convince the decision makers that this is going to change your life?
Yeah.
And that's the journey we're on. Something that Pradeep keeps telling me again and again is that, and I obviously agree to this, is that the entrepreneurial journey is about the journey, not the destination. Right? And I used to think of myself as a very impatient person. I go jaldi execute. I want to do things fast. I want to fail fast. I want to do everything. But when I switched hats from marketer to founder, right, co-founder, it just put me in that state. It's a very confusing state. The transition itself is a confusing state, because half the time you're wearing a marketer hat, half the time you're wearing a founder hat.
Right.
And it's a little like, which direction should I go? But how do I optimize for that direction, right? Your North Star metrics and your and the focus and the vision is what has to guide you. Right. So for us, it's always been that it has to be revenue, and then it has to be the quality of what we are doing. Right? And for that, we needed a community.
Okay. Nice.
Right?
Okay.
Segue into our community-led chat,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Why community for Bugasura? I'll come to that later. I'll tell you why community and which kind of businesses should actually use community.
Before you jump into community,
Sure.
right? Which we know that is what we want to hear from you a lot. Can you build some context about Bugasura's marketing efforts? I'm sure from day one or day zero, there would have been some things that you would have done, and there would have been a point where you would have sat down and said, okay, this is not working. I probably think this is the right direction. Right. Like, can you build that context before we jump into that community?
Sure. So when I joined Bugasura as head of marketing, Pradeep was wearing the PM hat, and he would talk to Mulya's customers or people in his network, and that's how we were doing the entire product roadmap. Right. In terms of marketing, we were just running ads on autopilot because honestly, we're still a small team, and Pradeep and Avinash did not just have the time to sit and look at the ad accounts all the time. Even then, I think everything was on autopilot, and the ads accounts were not being optimized, and they were just there. And that's when they also realized we can't scale like this. We need someone dedicated for the marketing so that we can do a proper go-to-market. And at that point, even we were struggling with our JTM also. Although we did have a few 2 or 3 paying customers at that time, and a bunch of free paying users as well. That's also because of how our model is. We have a freemium model. First 5 users free, and from the 6th user onwards, we charge $5 per user.
Okay.
So this was the model, and and it was mostly running on the search ads and nothing else. There was nothing else. There was not much content. And it was not frequent as well. Only thing we were updating was our release notes because we were doing some smaller releases, and those were the things. What I saw when I came in was there was a hesitation, like, will this product work? Why? I think we are being very hesitant about going to market. We're worried if people will say no. And, that's when I sat with Pradeep and Avinash and said, let's not wait for, great feedback to come in. Because then it's a chicken egg problem. What are you chasing, right? Are you chasing feedback or are you chasing a product roadmap? If you don't know what to build, you need to talk to customers. If you don't have customers, you don't know what to build. It's a chicken egg problem. How do you address this? So I said, let's do this. Let's do a massive launch. How will we do this massive launch? We'll do it on product. So they had tried to do a product hunt launch earlier, but that didn't work out. There were like 2 or 3 upvotes because product hunt is also a strategy.
Of course.
And Mulya itself has about 400 member companies. So I was like, but in my interview discussion itself, I told them, why don't we launch this? If you're really looking to get relevant feedback, why don't we launch this on product hunt? And they said, we tried, but it didn't work out. So I was like, okay, let's try it again. And that's when I came in with the product. On month 1, I joined Bugasura on October 10th. On November 24th was launched.
Nice.
So in month 1, we launched the product. Why? Because I didn't want to wait. Is the product ready? Let's launch it, because that's when we'll iterate. We'll understand what's the feature. So the product hunt launch was a massive success. That's also because we planned 2 or 3 weeks ahead of it, and it helped that we had a good push from the number of employees we had in India. So we warmed those accounts up.
So I think what happens generally, because Pradeep and they already have Mulya and a big company with us, and then you have a new product coming in. They require to share their bandwidth, right? And of course, the revenue is flowing from one entity for a very long time. So you want to have that focus there, but you also want to do something with the new product that is coming in. So I think this is a very common problem with, I would say, I can say the 2X founders, if they're doing something parallelly, right? Trying to generally with companies who have a service-based model, and then they are building a product. Because I've seen this earlier in my personal experience also, because everybody is following revenue, right? So you want to keep your focus there. And so it fits in really well that you came in, and then now there is at least one person who understands it and now can put full focus on the product. All right. So product hunt launch happened. How did it go?
It was a raging success, I would say, because we really, really planned this 2-3 weeks ahead of it. As soon as I joined in, I started executing. And I think that is what differentiated me for even Pradeep and Avinash, that I started executing from day one.
Yeah.
Like one of the posts I think Pradeep wrote, that I came in and there was one person who had not contributed for about 2 months or 3 months, and I said, let's not waste our resources. Let's keep this on hold for now, and let's actually focus on getting the product out, because the problem statement is that you don't know what to do next, and you don't know if this is going to work. So the product hunt launch was extremely interesting for me, because it was also my first product hunt launch. I would like to give a shout out to Abhash from Springworks, because he's the OG product hunter, and he did really help with the entire checklist that he has made. It's one of the resources that I share with whoever tries to come and ask me about product hunt launches. So we did try to start doing that. It helped that we had Millions as well to give us a bit of a boost. But and what I did was I also tied it into a bit of an influencer campaign. So identified a bunch of influencers and who can influence decisions for CTOs on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and wrote to them and said that, hey, we're ready to launch and we'd love to have your support. You could put in a nice post about us.
Right.
And on launch day, everyone posted, right? And it was really a big launch.
This was not transaction with the influencers?
No.
Just organic. Just reached out, just help us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you seen other people doing it? I have not heard this as a strategy for product.
Yes, I hadn't seen it before I did it. I had seen a bunch of people who were just promoting it within their teams, or it happens. So what happens with product hunter? It happens inside community. Right, like people are discussing that. But that's also, those conversations are also about supporting your launch, not about the feedback of the product itself. And for me, it was very important that I had 2 goals for this launch. One, tell everyone that Bugasura is available in the market. You should know about Bugasura. And 2, try out the product. Right. So we launched it for free. Said 5 users ke liye waise bhi free hai. I said I'm not going to do anything with the pricing plan or anything yet. Let's launch it this way. And from the launch, we did get revenue as well. We got a big account from the launch, and we got a huge number of free signups as well. And we did see, so the stack that we use to look at our product is we use Lucky Orange, which is like a hotjar, to see how our customers are using the product. And we use Mixpanel to check our events and everything, and obviously Google Analytics at that time for traffic. So we had about an 18 to 20% increase in the traffic as well. So even though I would say it's a small number, it's not a very big number, but it was very relevant. So even if it's a small number, if it's relevant, it's very important, and it's way more relevant to your product. Right? So I think after that launch, it opened a lot of doors for us. And product hunt launches come with their own perks, right? You get placed in newsletters, and you get a lot of free SEO juice out of it. So we did see that happening. And post the launch, I think it gave everybody a confidence. This will work. Let's build this. I think that was something that impacted Pradeep and Avinash's way of looking at the product. And secondly, just after the product hunt launch happened in November, and SaaSy was happening in March, and I think that's where this idea happened. Pradeep and I were supposed to go to SaaSy, and a week ago or something, he asked me, so we're going to SaaSy, we need to talk to more and more founders, how do we do this? So I said, look, everyone is going to be wearing a company t-shirt, or is probably going to be exchanging business cards. Let's do something different. So I said, let's wear this, because anyway, we are like asuras, right? And fonts make sense. Red also. And this costs nothing at 10 rupees.
Of course.
Right? And the best thing was Pradeep agreed to do it with me.
Nice.
So I was still marketing head at that time, and I was very happy that. So this is also something that marketers love, right? When your founders are on board with your plan.
That validation. You always are looking for that validation.
Exactly.
Just tell me I'm doing good. I'm taking good.
Exactly. And that's a marketer's occupational hazard. We are always caught in that validation. Mata to chal raha hai ki nahi chal raha hai types, right? So I was very happy that he was on board with this idea, and he wore it. And it was just, no one was doing this. right? Everybody was like, conference. Hai. We were like, no, let's make it fun. This became an icebreaker for us. The number of founders we spoke to, the number of connections we made, that itself created, like everybody knew that the ones with the horns were Bugasura folks, right? And I think Pradeep's LinkedIn was blowing up. My LinkedIn also was blowing up. And it helped that I met a lot of founders over there. There were a lot of marketing and sales folks as well, but the quality of people that I met there set some blocks for me as a foundation of it, right? I learned a lot from the conversations that I had with the founders there. Different types of SaaS people have been building, different types of GTM strategies, what were they doing. One thing that I noticed was everybody's playbook is the same. Yeah. Ishan, I can't tell you, everybody is doing the same outbound, same SLG or PLG, right? Yeah, what is it different that I can do? And for me, because I knew my ICP is not someone who will get on a call. Yeah. So how do I build familiarity? So that is very important for me to do. And that's when I thought, okay, we need to take a turn at this point. Because yes, product hunt launch, great, gave us a lot of free publicity, gave us a lot of visibility, really opened it up. So I feel that Bugasura as a brand is there. Right. But Bugasura as a product has to grow. It still has to grow. Right. And how do I make sure that I'm actually living up to the brand that I have created? How do I make sure that I build a product that is going to solve a problem that people really face? Yeah. And that's when we decided we'll go the community. And incidentally, at around that time, OpenAI just blew up right around April, May, March, around that time. And that's when I thought that we position ourselves as a modern bug tracker, right? And if the story or the pitch is this, that we've been using Jira for a very long time because it's a legacy tool, because there were no other options for you at that. And like I said, CTOs, PMs, right? They've been using this, like the first job that they did, they used Jira. So they're like, Jira works, let's keep using it. But Jira, does it work for bug tracking? No. So the bug tracking market itself is very siloed, right? There are tools that do only monitoring. There are tools that do only capturing or feedback management. But how do we tie that in together? And then there are project management tools that most people double it up as. So, but project management tools don't give you the context that a bug actually needs, or like what are the different sources that they're coming from, and who is supposed to look at it? How do you prioritize it? These are some of the problems that I found out when I started talking to my ICP, right? And I understood, and this has all happened through networks and through referrals, right? It didn't happen through a cold email or through a phone call, right? Because I've realized that this is not good. And that's when I decided, I think we need to build a community. And how do we feed the community? So I brought in a friend and of mine, and I've been working with him even at Instamojo. His name is Saurabh. And Saurabh from Success Group. And he introduced me to Vashisht. And Vashisht has been building communities. He's a volunteer for Head Start, etc. And, we sat down and we chatted about how should we go about the community. Even before I did this community, I did build a community for Instamojo as well. There were WhatsApp groups for SMEs where we would, they would see a community is about you, right? What do you give? You cannot think of taking all the tech. Yes, if you own the community, you can push your product, you can push, but then people will leave. Then what's the point of, then you'd rather do sales, no? Why would you do community? So when we were doing it at Instamojo as well, we realized this works in order to build the referrals, in order to build more credibility in the market. And because it's a crowded market also, how do you differentiate? So if you should be able to create champions for your brand, and that only a community. Otherwise, it's just like you call someone, you give them a gift card and tell them to leave a review, or put a post on LinkedIn. Yeah. I think that does not work at scale.
It can't.
Not for early stage.
No.
I would say that there are business models. G2 is built on this business
Absolutely,
model as well.
absolutely. But
It
at the
doesn't
end-
work for early
no,
stages.
no.
If you really want to build a company which will last 15 years, 30 years, and that's the vision actually for Bugasura as well. We don't want to exit in the next 2 years or 3
Of
years.
course.
We want to build something long term.
Yeah.
And that is why we are taking things. And I think that's very important I think I'm very fortunate in that case, because that's where our visions aligned, even for me to even accept this position and
Yeah,
come into
yeah.
this, was that you can't build this over. Now, there are so many stories online today where they say ki, ek saal mein itna ho. Like in 1 year, there has been this much growth. But at what cost? Right? And how fast is this burning out?
Exactly.
How fast is this business going to burn out?
Exactly.
And honestly, in today's scenario, right, it's so easy to build technology.
Yeah.
What you're building, your USP can be copied in 15 days and launched, and they might do a better job of selling it. So what is the moat that you do? Your moat can be anything.
Right.
So I think communities become a moat for your business. Notion is the biggest example. I think they've done a wonderful, beautiful job. Figma has done a beautiful job of building and championing their products through their customers.
Right.
And that is real value for a business, right? If your customers are the ones who are telling you, hum refer karenge, we'll be the ones to push your product. We'll be the ones to bring you business. Nothing like it.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think being a bootstrap business as Mulya, we have the we have the time and we have this thing to like build it through. We have the ability to build it through. It may not work for a VC-led business, because then there is
pressure.
Not just pressure, it's also it's a very different model. It's always optimized for revenue. Sure, a business should always optimize for revenue, but when you're at this early stage, it's very easy to get lost in the multiple things that you want to do. So for us, it was very clear. The two things that I told you, one was revenue, one was the quality of the product.
Yeah.
So we know that revenue will follow if we actually build quality of the product. And we have to differentiate with our product and also who we're building for. And having said that, we launched a Slack community.
Okay.
And we launched it for all our existing customers as well. So we have about 30,000, 40,000 people in the free and paid together.
Okay, nice.
Right? And we launched it for them. And after a point, Slack started, like the engagement on Slack started dipping.
Okay.
Why? Because I am the only customer-facing team member in the entire Bugasura team. We are just a member. We are just a small team, 6 to 10 people, right? Most of them are devs and testers. Pradeep is doing the thought leadership. He's thinking of how should we do the product better. I'm the GTM person, and Avinash takes care of the technology. So being the only marketer and being the only customer-facing person, how do I optimize for time? So I was unable to share enough content on the Slack community. I was unable to give enough time. So that's when Vashish came and said, you need to hire an intern, do this, and let's also start this on WhatsApp. I was very wary about WhatsApp because I was like, ours is a global community. Why would someone from US or someone from Germany or Japan or whichever use WhatsApp?
Also, you already have the answer to this, but just an addition to this question, like, are people comfortable? Do they actually want to have communities on WhatsApp?
Exactly.
This is my personal thing.
Exactly.
I don't want.
There's a difference between work and personal.
Yeah, that's why Slack, I think, as WhatsApp is also maturing. Share screen is coming in. So many you can share documents, all of that, and if they wanted, they could have built anything out of WhatsApp. But then there's a line for each individual.
Exactly.
Please.
I had the exact same hesitation, right?
Yeah.
And that's when we also did some research and we saw that there are so many communities, thriving communities on WhatsApp. The product folks, the product folks, right? They're very great community of product people.
Yeah.
They've also launched the founder folks. They also have a WhatsApp community which funnels into their Slack.
Oh.
And there are multiple such.
I didn't know product folks was on WhatsApp also. Okay.
And yeah, they are actually, and it's a funnel, right?
Yeah,
It funnels from wherever you are. So if your decision maker is a senior leader or someone, right? You know that they all work on referrals, and they all work on over email or WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So why not WhatsApp? That was the mind map that happened, right? And also the discovery. And the reason we launched the Slack community was I ran a survey for all our customers, and I was confused whether we should do it on Discord or whether we should do it on Slack. Obviously, Discord, because you know that developers are hanging out on Discord, they're having conversations there, or and I was like, I don't want to take a bias call. I'll ask my customers where they want to talk. That's why we launched Slack. And then we graduated into WhatsApp because we were hitting a wall over there as well. When we graduated to WhatsApp, it just changed things for us. We use a tool called nas.io. NAS is a community management platform. So they allow you to do a bunch of automations, etc. on it. And we've connected our Slack and WhatsApp also together. So anyone who joins the Slack team also gets a WhatsApp invite, and anyone who joins WhatsApp, they automatically get into the Slack. And this has been creating magic. So coming to how the community has actually helped us uncover different types of things that we should build and actually shape what we should build next. Today, all our demos, all our conversations happen from the community.
Nice.
Now we have crossed 250 people in the community. We just keep promoting the posts, and there are referrals also that happen on the community. We post about events, and we do a lot of different perks for the community, which we'll talk in a later segment on how to engage the community. But this particular thing, now all of our demos are happening on the community, and now I know that I don't have to send a 5-sequence email to him to actually get on a call.
Right.
If I've had a call with him once, I know that I will have a call with that person. At any time, I could reach him over a personal network. It's very easy for me to just understand what didn't work or what.
Amazing.
So a lot of founders that I talked to today also, US GTM is a very big thing. And because you work with so many founders today, and everybody's trying to build an India sell to the US, different reasons, purchasing power, etc. Everyone is trying to understand how do we sell in the US very relevantly, and that is why so many communities like SaaS Boomi has SaaS Boomi Caravan. Then there are events happening where you go from India to US or different other geographies, and then you build personal connects. If it's all about really selling with personal connects, community is your answer. There are people who do not believe in a community because they've been part of communities that don't have complete focus. It's definitely a luxury to run a community because it has to get a lot of attention. You have to give it a lot of attention. You have to give each and every member your complete 100%. So for me, right, I actually almost know 95% of the people personally on the community. I know them by name. I know what they do. I know what companies they run. And I know what they like and what they do. How is that possible? Because from the community, we also do events. So our events are called Bugasura Bites. And this time we are doing it on the 18th of November in Gurgaon.
Oh, nice.
Why
these are all offline events or virtual events?
Offline.
Nice. Amazing.
Because online mein wo touch, it doesn't come. That touch is just not coming. Online mein, those, sure man, CTOs, they are aloof people. They like sitting behind a computer, and I'm not saying that they don't like networking. They like networking with select groups. They're like, I don't want to waste my time in something else because I've already done that probably in my entire journey of becoming a CTO. So when we started doing these events, we started collaborating with other people. So our first meetup, we tried to do it by ourselves, and we saw like 35-40 registrations. Jisme se 20 came up, and for a first event, I was a little disappointed, but Pradeep and Avinash were like, "Ye mast hai. This is great for a first event." I'm like, "No, this is not great. I want to do more. This is not." It's not going to work. But the event, again, like I said, they're all setting foundational stones for us. And one of the main things, or the biggest changes that you asked me, right? Like what changed for you becoming a founder from a marketer is this, that I'm learning the founders are resilience. As marketers, I I think we're attuned to the way of working. Ki ROI love. You spend this, you get this. And then there is like, some things cannot be measured and all of that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a very different mindset from founders. Now I have friends and I have two different networks, and I actually empathize with both. I know what the founders and what I feel like when I'm putting pressure on anybody in the team. And I know from a marketer's point of view what should be the expectation, what are the expectations.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, it's a dichotomy, but it's very interesting. The biggest learning for me is that I've become more patient. And that I'm learning from Pradeep and Avinash, because they keep telling me this is the first event. Ye aisa hoga hi. What next?
Right.
Right.
But do you think from what I heard in the last 10-15 minutes of the conversation, is that you want to be fast, you want to do things really quickly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it explicitly, but every story that you talked about was about doing things very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? You entered Bugasura, and 1 month later there was a launch.
Yeah.
And you try to do things that generally people aren't doing. Right?
Yeah.
So try to not follow the checklist.
Yeah.
Or follow the checklist, but also add something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you think that those things might stop happening as you develop more patience, or you feel that, okay, I can maintain that the characteristics or the personality that I had, but this is an additional thing that I'm learning. Okay, I need to be patient at moments, because I have seen when I have tried to go really fast, I have faced certain problems. How do you look at this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it would be the latter. I think you have to be really patient with the problem, but really, really impatient with execution. Be patient with the problem.
Well said. Well said.
Be really, really patient with the problem, because if you are really, you know what, Ishan, I don't think only like 10% or maybe lesser, 5% of the people are original thinkers.
Yeah.
Rest, all of us
Yeah.
are really about
Reiterating.
reiterating or picking up opinions.
Yes.
Right? Like we talk about the pseudo influencers also on LinkedIn, etc. Right? They're all picking up opinions.
Agreed.
And sure, they have their own reasons for doing it. They want to build a personal brand. They want to do. See, we as marketers, we know, because we do this day in, day out. But to think originally, what do you need? Right? For me, it's about just being completely in tune with your customer. Because it's too early in the stage for you to not build something that's in line with the customer. And so something that Pradeep says again and again is, we are always climbing mountains. How do we flatten those mountains? That flattening can only happen with execution.
Yeah.
You have to be impatient with execution. But for you to actually encounter mountains again and again, you have to keep pursuing it, and those mountains will keep coming. You have to keep pursuing the problem. You have to fall in love with that challenge, right? Like, what am I building? Who am I building for? That is my North Star.
Yeah.
And is that what I'm building, is that something that's going to generate revenue for me? Is that going to make money? Otherwise, it's just not a business. It's charity. So to answer your question, yes, I think it would be a balance for me. And the community part is now for us complete. It's just 100% of our pipeline.
All right. So community, as you mentioned, right? You need to put effort in a community. I think a lot of the communities fail because the fundamental idea about a community is a Slack channel or whatever, a platform where you get people, right? And for most communities, that's where it starts dropping and falling, because for them, always the objective was, how do I get 1,000 people onto a Slack channel that I create? But what happens after that, right? It's not, there is no, you cannot say that there was intent of these 1,000 people that now they're in, and then you try to start selling, right? So community is also just like any other marketing channel, is a day-to-day activity, and you need to keep optimizing for it, right? Okay, so help us understand a little more about And obviously you can talk about community that you're building for Bugasura. Help us understand, like, right from, like, if I talk about, generally any marketing channel is looked at through the funnel, right? Like in visualized in the form of funnel. How do we visualize the community-led approach in the form of a funnel?
Sure. So when you launch a community, you need to fill in or figure out your objectives way before you launch it.
Right.
So we started with a community canvas. The canvas had a bunch of questions. I can probably share that as a resource later on with you for the viewers.
Absolutely.
What it has is it's a grid that has what should the community stand for, what platform will it be on, who makes the decisions on the community, what kind of things should be shared on the platform, is it going to be monetary, not monetary at this point, and then multiple other grids that you have to question, and this has to be filled by the person who is going to manage and execute the grid.
Right. So, right? So on day zero, you sit down and you should have answers to these.
Right? Start with this because this is your focus. It's your whiteboard. It's your focus. You start with the grid and then move on. Okay. So we started off with this grid, and like I said, we the second question, which was like what platform should it be on, we decided that we'll ask our users what platform they want to talk on.
That was a great approach, by the way. I think this is something that mostly no one would even think of, right? I think tech community is distorted.
It's a bias.
Yeah, it's a bias because what generally everyone ends up doing, as you rightly mentioned, is we just look at what others are doing and just try to customize it a little bit.
Add your flavor.
Add your flavor. So this I really like this point where you said, okay, let's not get biased. Let's not just stick to the general
perception of where devs hang out.
Exactly. Yeah. And you went, and that's where WhatsApp came in. Like I can't still digest the fact.
I can't either, Ishan. Tell me about it. I also don't know how this worked out so well for us. It's been working out really well in the Indian market and also the Asia market, and some of our US folks are also joining the community. Right. But we wanted to keep it open and flexible, right? And that's also so your grid. While that grid is your holy grail, I think it also evolves along with scale for your community.
Like any other channel, like any activity that you probably do in life for a longer term, you need to keep it evolving.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So the grid is where you start from, and then you start executing, right? So we ran the surveys, and most of our users said they want it on Slack. As I mentioned, Slack after a while engagement was zero because I didn't have the time and I was not giving enough time. And that's when I understood that this needs full-fledged attention. Right. You cannot have 2-3 things running. And because now if I had the luxury of 2 more people in my team, I would marry CLG to PLG and SM.
Okay.
Because honestly, Ishan, today you cannot have just one channel.
Yeah.
Because your customers are also discovering you from different places, right? There's referrals, there's your SEO, there's social media, there's Reddit and different other dark socials that you call. And then there are other partnerships, different types of channels that you can tap into. And it's very hard to do it when you're just one person in the team. So, and because I chose community, it's going to be slow and it's going to be really long term, right? I know that if I'm investing, it's like an SIP, literally, I would say. You start off with really small returns and then it compounds. And I think the fact that Pradeep and Avinash are also on board with the community-led model was a very big win for me.
It gives you confidence.
Exactly.
Right?
I think that's what it is. Like, co-founders are giving each other's confidence. This will work.
At the end of the day, when you try, only then you will know. Yes. Even Pradeep will know when you try, you will know when you try. So it's just have that confidence. Okay.
Experiment. Experiment.
And I think what obviously I could be wrong because I don't know Pradeep and your relationship. But as far as I have seen, like from day one, when he would have interviewed you and what happened in the coming days, I think he would have had started, okay, I can change my way of thinking because this lady here, she's ready to go all the time. So and it worked out a couple of times. So he would also be liking.
Yes.
that's how we should do.
Yes,
right?
yes,
So,
exactly.
amazing.
And that's exactly what has happened, right? Like during our interviews, I think I came with a certain kind of conviction,
Yeah.
and that helped.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the reasons. I think what I would say, what sets me apart in general is that I don't look at it at any project as just my functions work.
Yeah.
I want to tie it to so I think revenue or something, right? So I think most marketers, whether you're in content, whether you're in social media, whether you're in whatever, right? Whether you're an intern, if you can prove that your content or your work is actually making revenue, you wouldn't have to be in that space where you feel that you're not making it. You know,
and that's an entrepreneurial mindset, right? And
yeah.
That's where it
So
comes.
I always had this.
Yeah.
So you know why I have this? Because I treat myself as a product, as a commodity. Yeah, is my value appreciating over time or not? Huh? And if I am able to upskill and become a better business person, I look at myself as a business entrepreneur, business person. I'm not looking at myself as a marketer, which is why even at Instamojo, I think they did the culture was so great that I had the opportunity to work cross-functionally with every team that was there. I knew who's doing what, and I think building those internal relationships also helps. So, you know, these are also communities of sorts. They happen in smaller pockets in your company as well, because a group is like you hang out together, you share your things, you share your challenges, you share your troubles, and you also find solutions, right? That's exactly what a community is, but at scale. Now, coming to how do you funnelize this, right? So the top of the funnel of our community mostly is comprised of our free users and also the events that we do. So, like I said, we do Bugasura Bites, which are offline events. We usually try to keep it small, like 20, 30 people, mostly CTOs, VP engineering, so product founders coming in and talking about different things. So we've had 4-5 meetups so far from the launch of the community as well. We've tied up with different communities at no cost. So that is why these become no cost acquisition acquisition channels, because the beauty of community is that they're always willing to give, right? So we tied up with Super Women DAO, which is a Web3 community and for women only. And I feel that there's extreme underrepresentation in entrepreneurship and tech. These are like boardrooms and code rooms, if I can. These two are the places that is extremely underrepresented. So we wanted to, tie up with communities who can actually come and add value. So one of the meetups was the second meetup was with Super Women DAO, and that really went really well because Aditi, who runs this community, she's a fact backer. She's very well networked. I think she does a great job of community building. Today, she's doing a community for Coin DCX right now. So I think it just really helped that she was there with us in the initial times for Bugasura Bites. And then we started doing, we started to do another one with our own community. So I run another community, which is HSR Founders Club. It's a club, literally a club, where it's all about giving back to the founders, understanding what are the problems, and how can we just help each other. We've even helped people find houses, find LPG gas cylinders on the group. It's literally a support group.
Nice.
And we want to create a space where founders are okay with sharing each other's troubles and have that trust. If we talk numbers with you, this is not going away from this conversation. So that is the community that we would have. So the third meetup was with this community where we had product founders come in and talk about PMF, finding PMF, etc. So and then we did a very massive mixer. We moved away a little bit from our general fireside chat about certain. Every meetup has a topic. So for the one that we did for Head Start, it was a pre-event for HSX, which is their annual event, startup event. We did a pre-event for them. It was a mixer. It was crazy. It happened here. People were like standing outside and all. It was very big, right? And I think it happened at the end of the day. So we also did not want to keep a fireside chat or something, because we know everyone is tired. They've been having multiple events all through the city with other pre-events. So all they came, they did all of them came here, they should. Their network, they talked about whatever they want to talk about. And we, very honestly, we don't sell at people. Like, I don't go and say, ki Bugasura free. There's Sandy, there's this thing. I don't do that. We talk about challenges. Okay, and this is a great place for user research and customer conversation. What is working for you? What is not working for you? And because they're engineers, they are also facing problems with their own products. They talk, and founders as well. So they talk about, this is the challenge. We are unable to do this. So, for example, most SaaS companies, what they do is they have a channel called Bugs, where everybody puts screenshots and everything. But how do you prioritize which one to do what? So how do you like, you might have an integration into your Jira or whatever, but it still doesn't give you enough context, still doesn't give you how to prioritize, etc. Can we solve for that problem? Today we are building something for that, right? That has come, all these learnings have come from the community, from these events that we do. So now that the community is big on WhatsApp, they said, why are you doing events in Bangalore? We have nothing in Delhi. Like, please do some tech events. No one does any tech events. It's all DTC or whatever, right? And I was like, no, let's do it. And we actually are doing our first out of Bangalore event in Gurugram. Again, in partnership with 2 or 3 people, where we are getting the venue for free, where we are getting head start to help us with the distribution and everything. So the only kharcha which I have is now flying. That's it. So I think that is how we are doing $0 acquisition. And also the ripple effect of having this community is that people are talking about this. It can be either this, right? That's an icebreaker. And then they talk about this community, like, hey, there are these communities, this community of VP engineering CTOs where we discuss relevant problems. For example, I'll tell you about the conversations we have about the community, right? So from the funnel, now the top of the thing where you're adding the people, now it's about engagement.
So the top of the funnel is majorly events.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Events and community collaboration. That now the next stage of the funnel, where how do you engage the community, how do you sell or whatever. I'm not selling. At this point, I'm still not selling. What we do is we try to facilitate certain kind of conversations. So when I meet them at the events, they tell me about their problems. I tell them, hey, I can connect you to someone on the community who is doing this. For example, there was this one person who said, I'm starting off in the DTC tech space, but I'm confused whether I should build my own code or should I outsource it. Very big, very valid question. A lot of founders do this. So there was a whole conversation on this, right? And Avinash came and gave in his opinion. We have the CTO of TalkMate on the community. So he came and weighed in on this situation. This itself is content for me. So I just put together a carousel quickly and post it out on LinkedIn, right? And I know that these are real questions. These are burning questions. People are struggling with this. If I talk about this, I am seeing that people are joining our community. People are joining our community. This is one part of the engagement, right? The second thing is, because we do a lot of events, and this last month was like the events month for SaaS and everything, right? There was Tech Sparks and Head Start. There are multiple other events that happen. What we do is we try to go and build a partnership with these events, where we tell them that, hey, we'll get you people to come to the event as well. Give us a discount on your passes. For Tech Sparks, we were able to arrange a 40% discount on the Tech Sparks tickets. For Head Start, we literally gave it to them. And there was a discounted version, and then we also gave it to them. The fact that we are also curating this and giving it to the community makes them understand that, hey, these guys are not faltu. They're not here about just talking to us and just selling to us. They're giving to us, actually giving to us. So I am enabling CTOs and founders on this community to go and build their own businesses, figure out their own ways of it. And they will remember us for this, right? And they always do. So even if they can't use it at this point, they can't use Bugasura at this point, they're always referring us.
There's reference, there's maybe later, when
exactly,
they
figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And even we also tell them that, hey, if you're facing problems while building your product, talk to this CTO, talk to my CTO, figure out we'll find you a time.
Yeah.
It's about facilitating this relationship and these communities.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the ways that we engage the community.
Right. And now, the more you're talking about it, if I just go, like, if we just go back in our lives and try to, link it with something that generally happens. This is building friendship. Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Like, trust is built when someone helps you out till the end.
Yeah.
And it generally ends up in a successful, engagement.
I have a question for you, Ishan. You've been working with several companies.
Yeah.
What is one of the biggest problems for an early stage company in terms of
So many problems.
one of the biggest? Why doesn't someone buy from early stage?
Trust. Relatively.
That's what you need to build in the initial phases. You need to build trust. How do you do that? By putting yourself out there every day, day in, day out. But now that I'm doing this, right? When I put in an occasional release note or a occasional feature that we build, ask them to try it out with me. In fact, they're like, this is a good one. We wanted this.
It's a two-way relationship that is building. Right?
Exactly. So that works. That really works for the initial stages. And what it also helps is, because you're in early stage and you want to discover different ICPs, we actually figured out a different ICP. We figured out that software development agencies are a huge channel for us.
Right.
Can we build a referral program for them? Can we build a community for them where they are also glorified? Because honestly, when you're now service companies are becoming bigger, they are marketing themselves
absolutely
as product companies.
Never has a service company or an agency development company has been looked at that.
In that thing, right? They're like giving you work, just do it.
Yeah,
it's outsourced.
I know it, like because
you're living it.
Exactly, I'm living it. So this is one concern, not a concern, but really a point that hits me all the time, that I am not looked at in the
as a thought leader.
As a thought leader. But probably I know so much, I experience so much, but I'm not looked at in that manner. And neither is my team, right? Which is something I'm trying to cut. Right? I'm trying to cut through that and trying to bring my team also in front of the world. And like, these are young and these are very.
No, I think you're doing a very good job of getting visibility for Growth Street. I think it happened 2 or 3 months ago, right? And Growth Street is everywhere. I think you're doing a good job. Keep at it. It's really difficult. I know that because I'm on the same board, entrepreneurs again, and we do feel like, it's just a up and down journey. But I think you're doing a good job, and this is always there. And this is what led us to thinking that nobody glorifies software development. Nobody does it. Can we be that person or that company that actually allows software development, that connects software development agencies to founders who need it? Because these are the questions that you're having, right? Like, should I outsource it? Should I build it? Can you do it at a smaller cost? Different other things. So there are plans. I have plans of actually doing a huge event only for software development, where we get agency folks to come and talk, where we get them to come and communicate. One more problem with the service industry is that it just feels very competitive. You're fighting for the same customers in the
you will always find a single individual doing the same thing. You will have 20-30 people and a 300 people company trying to get the same kind of
customer. And the customer is also evaluating 3
people. Because there's a cost difference between all of them, the quality difference.
Exactly.
So all of that.
So that is why I feel it's way easier to collaborate than to compete. When you're competing, you're really, really losing out on a market share. You're not getting everything. But when you collaborate, your returns are much higher. Which is why I think that it's not about who gets the best deal, right? It's not about who gets the best deal. It's about who gives the best value. If you can do that collaboratively, nothing like it. If you are good at SEO and another agency is good at, let's say, ABM, whichever, or vice versa, actually, you can collaborate to create a package and sell it. Right? So it's about how do you collaboratively make money, and how do you collaboratively give for me, especially with this ICP, which is software development agency, how can I give them also more visibility to these product companies and vice versa? Because even they have the same problem and these guys have the same problem. We know about the problems. Why can't we connect them over it? So that is how, so these are some of the things that we're doing to engage the community. Right? When I'm putting in those occasional product features and everything, people are happy to try it out. They're happy to give it a try. They're happy to give us feedback. And very honestly, just recently, one of our customers on the Slack channel was giving us feedback that, can you build this? Because this is a problem state. Now, in early stages, you can get stuck in, actually even in early later stages, you can get stuck in the feature. What should you do? How do you get out of this feature? In Bugasura, I've learned this because Pradeep and Avinash have this, that we run 2 sprints of development and then we run 1 sprint of cleanup. We remove things. And it's not, again, all whimsical data. So we look at our mixed panel analytics, we look at our Google analytics, we look at Lucky Orange, and we take the decision, okay, these are not being used, so let's sort of take it away, right? And you can afford to do this in an early stage because it's not, if it's not being used, nobody's doing it. So it's okay. And that way you're reducing your tech debt also, right? You don't have to keep maintaining these features. You don't have to add a developer to keep looking at it, debugging it, support tickets. You don't need that. So I think that's a very functionally optimized way of us building features. And also talking about this customer who gave us this idea that, can you build this? Because this is my problem statement. There are big paying customers. So we were like, yeah, we'll build it out for you. But internally, we were also looking at, can this be scaled for other customers? Based on that decision, we take the decision of building it. And, when we release the feature, we give kudos to this customer as well. And that essentially also acts as a customer success channel for us. And we've had them for like 2 years now. They are here. And they're very happy with us. They don't want to move out. Like I said, a CTO is a loyal human being. Once he's in your system and he's discovered your value, he'll use you and he will also tell others. So that's the entire funnel journey that I feel that we have built so far. And I know some people in one of your posts have also asked questions about how do you attribute and something about running paid activities on the, you know your business better than I do. You decide what is going to work for you. If you have the budget and if you have a strategy, okay, you built a community and you still want to, show them more of your product, feel free. Because that's your decision. For me, a community is not about selling. I'm not selling directly over. I'm selling, but I'm selling in a very contextual manner. I'm selling where a relationship has already been built and where they're okay. It's like literally giving consent to accept they're subscribing to your product. So think of it like a newsletter, or think of it like a gated content platform where they are subscribing or giving consent to track their data and giving you their information. And when you're running a community, it's extremely important that you're also respecting the privacy and the reasons, that grid. You're respecting that grid. That grid is your holy grail. You sit there and you go back to it every day, and you see if your community is moving away from the direction. Do you need to cut that and bring it to the right direction?
Just like any other market. Again, there is no click, right? To come building a community, understand your business. Obviously, whatever insights you shared are helpful for you to have a sense of direction. If you feel you also have a business where community can help. But more importantly, from what you are doing, one important thing which I've understood from how you are doing things is that why you're not selling at this moment, what I understand, is because you want to build a long-term business.
Correct.
It has to go on for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yes.
If you wanted to sell, you would have, right? I think you'll agree, right? If you get
there are communities that are doing
I'm saying even if you would have not taken this community approach and the specific approach for community building taken, you could have started selling There would have been different challenges.
Yes.
Because probably would have to, had to raise some funds as well,
Yes.
probably run ads, whatever, the playbooks, the general things that are there, right? What you are doing, and I say this always, right? People will buy only when they have a requirement. Right? So you just need to make sure that when they have a requirement,
we are on top of their minds.
That's all you're looking for. And I think that is something that you're doing beautifully.
Well, I think that's what a job of any marketer should
be. It should be 100%. But again, there are so many different aspects to a business, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, it could be the founder, it could be the money that you've raised, right? Where you need to sell, there is a certain revenue that needs to be hit, which I'm sure is there as your objective for you as well, right? In that grade, there is a revenue column, I'm sure. Because it's a business that you're building. But it's a long-term business, right? That's the major difference that I'm able to, understand from your conversation. Even if I keep the community aspect aside, the bottom line, the fundamental approach that you're looking for is, I just need people to know me and Bugasura, and what Bugasura does.
At this point, yes.
Yes, and of course, it is going to change. And how you're doing is by creating trust in that community, and how you're creating trust is by helping them.
That's good.
I think that is it is obviously not as simple as it sounds, but in 3 simple things, that's what you're doing. And I think this is the core understanding each marketer should have, right? And not just a marketer, again, each founder should have, because at times a marketer will not be able to do what he is willing to do.
Right?
It will come from within. So I think this is something that, at least at the early stage, companies should understand that this is probably a right way to move forward.
Yeah. So see, Ishan, when you do ABM, right, you're also essentially building lists, right? And you're running multiple email campaigns. Think of community as your list. It's just another list that you're building, but it's just that you don't have to send them a sequence of emails to pick up the call and talk to them. Even if you're selling to them, like, see, when you're in an early stage and you haven't really hit product market fit, and you haven't really figured out predictability of revenue, you have to iterate and experiment multiple times, right? Community is a low-cost way to do this, but the cost is time.
Yeah, the cost is time. For sure. But I just think, again, coming back, I just feel that the returns, obviously there'll be revenue, the time is what you're compensating for. But in the long run, right, there's going to be a huge difference if you compare your approach with some other approach. It's a huge difference.
No, what I think is that if you already have an established business, it's never too late to think about a community. You can marry, like I said, at some point I will probably marry CLG to SLG, right? I'm hiring a sales manager, by the way, so it's happening soon. But no, it still doesn't mean that I will ask the sales guy to just go and sell blatantly. That's not going to happen. I think we'll have a very different way of selling, and we'll never be very in your face. We'll never start listing you the features that we have, and we'll never, we'll always put your problems before we can sell what. And that's the best way to do sales. It's really about asking the right questions and pursuing the problem. That is good sales, right? I think that's what we will do, and it helps that that the community already has people who are willing to come. So the sales guy will not have a guy or girl, whoever comes in, will not have a paucity of people to talk. How to get started? How do you get okay? You can document things, right? But nothing beats that one conversation that you have to actually understand what your product is actually solving and where are those gaps, right? I think it's also an art to ask the right kind of questions. So one of the founders in one of the meetups, Bugasura Bites, introduced me to a book. It was Anmol from Docvita. He introduced me to a book called The Mom Test. The Mom Test is all about asking how to ask the right kind of questions. Because that's an art. Right. So we'll link that also in the resources to probably talk about.
A lot of resources coming in this podcast. I'm loving it. My podcast is just going to another level.
I hope so. I hope this works really well. But yes, I'm absolutely enjoying the conversation as well. So it's about how do you ask the right kind of questions. So even when you're in an established business where playbooks are formalized, where it's predictable and there are processes set in place, it's never too late to think about a community. I think in SaaS, Rocket Lane has the pre-flight community, which is a great community. And Sri Krishna has also written about how he built the community. He, in fact, built the community before he built the product, which is a great way to go about things. I think this was one of the conversations we had in our community as well, for the same guy who was asking whether I should outsource or not. So I told him, why don't you build a wait list before you actually go all out and build
because
the product?
Krishna, I think, still also, he's a big believer of talking to the customer.
Yes.
Right? And that's how we've been able to, they've been able to
innovate in the
innovate
product.
in such a nice product, and scaling the product in the very complex US market in a space which is also cluttered.
Exactly.
It's not a new category.
How is it differentiated?
Exactly. Please.
Yeah, so if your business is already established, it's never too late to think about a community. You can always start one.
Yeah.
But need time for it.
Yeah.
And don't be salesy.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be pushing your product all the time. Give.
Yeah.
More than you take, give. At least initially, right? Because what is the value of the community? Recently there was a post by a founder who said, I don't believe in communities.
Okay.
And that's because every Tom, Dick and Harry is building a community. There are so many communities that I'm being part of. And for a founder, it's very, they try to focus, right?
Yep.
So it's easy to cut off for them, because they're like, I want to focus on this only. I'll cut off these distractions.
Yeah.
I will only be working on this, on my product lines.
Yeah.
You're fighting for someone's time, even with the community. First, your product is there, then your community is there. So two things are there. And you're fighting for this person's time. If you're fighting for this person's time, for your community, make it worth it.
Yeah.
Make it worthwhile. Give that person, understand what this person needs and wants and how your product fits in. Then your second part of the part of where your product solves the challenge for them is covered. Yeah. But before that, understand what makes them tick. It's really about the JTBDs of building an ICP, right? It really helps understand the customer, understand how it would change their life, how your product would change their life, and then also retain them in the longer run. Yeah. That is very important.
Yeah.
So if you have it's not like if you know this person, like, okay, it's a seat, or let's say it's a VP engineering who also has a CTO, but then due to some funding crunch or layoffs or whatever, right, they're cutting costs and they're moving to say a certain business. You have a personal connect with them. Yes, you can have a conversation with them and tell them that, hey, why is it that you're turning away from us and just go, why are you cutting it off? You will still find beautiful reasons of joining. And sometimes it's not just your product, sometimes it's other macroeconomic factors. But sometimes when it's your product, you also need to know that conversation. You also need to know what they hate about it.
Yeah.
You also need to know what was the value you underdelivered.
Yeah.
Because that is what is going to define whether your product is going to work in the long run. So I think all those stages of your customer journey, acquisition, engagement, retention, all of that, and even support tickets, right? Like if your customer, so we have Fresh Chat on our website, and most of our customers put their queries on the Fresh Chat, and we also have a public tracker where, so we are also trying to build in public, all our bugs are publicly visible. Sabko pata hai what is going, what is broken, which is being prioritized and not being prioritized. So it's also a way for us to talk fooding our own product, and we also show it to our in our demos and say that this is how we use the public tracker, etc. Different use cases, etc. So in each of these stages of the customer's journey, we are able to build a personal connection. I think that is what differentiates a business at scale, even at scale. I think when you go to a HubSpot or when you go to a Slack, two different business models, right? HubSpot very SLG, Slack very PLG, right? Just see the difference in the approach of their. Look at how Slack does their product marketing. and how they inculcate it into their offline parts. Like recently, they had put in a kiosk on a metro or a subway, and they played the huddle music in the subway, right? And these are memorable experiences that you create as a marketer. Because as a marketer, yes, there is a discipline that you have in your markers, which I think you do really well in the whole RevOps parts, right? There's a discipline. But as a marketer, you also have a creative side.
Yeah.
You need to let that show. And when you marry that with the discipline, you are unstoppable, right? Essentially.
Agreed.
So how do you marry the creativity with the discipline? How do you justify that this is going to work? It's only if you know your customers.
Yeah.
And every marketer should know their customer inside out, I think.
Absolutely.
And then you will be able to create delightful experiences.
Yeah.
And when you create delightful experiences, it helps your support person, it helps your salesperson, it helps your revenue person, it helps your it probably also helps your what else? Your designers, your whoever, everyone who's working on the product.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is how the founder mentality or the entrepreneurial mentality has helped me. In my experience of working with so many people and with different teams, I can work cross-functionally because I don't think of their work as different.
Yeah.
It's a company. We are all connected.
Yeah.
And I think it worked because I've always worked with our joint places where the teams were smaller. Affinity, very small team. Everyone was like wearing multiple hats. Instamojo joined when we were 30 people, although pre-PMF, good revenue this time. But still, I think the entire content journey, building it out, building the newsletter, building Mojoversity, it was just a blast. At Instamojo, I was doing new things every year. So 5.5 years, har saal something new emerged.
Nice.
Like 1 year we launched a podcast. 1 year we launched Mojoversity, which is great. Mojoversity was like is still there. They're still running it. It's a e-learning platform for SMEs.
Okay.
So the way that we built it was that we want this to be an education channel. Zerodha's Varsity, right? So that was the inspiration for Zapad at that time.
Nice.
And he was like, let's build Mojoversity where we educate customers on different things, right? On different areas of business. At that time, GST was just launched. So it was a chaos. Like nobody, I don't think even now people understand GST. So, my focus was that we can build world-class courses, but who's going to build them? Right?
Yeah.
We are not experts in GST. We are expert in e-commerce payments, yes, but we are not experts in GST. We are not experts in accounting.
Yeah.
So who's going to build this? The next answer was that build it with an expert who is an expert in that.
Yeah.
So when we launched the GST course, we launched with 3 courses. One was accounting, one was GST, and one was something else I don't quite remember. We launched it with ClearTax.
Nice.
We asked ClearTax to make the entire module, and we built it on Teachable. Very the resources we used, there was like 1 designer, 1 developer, and that's it. Tino milke, we built this entire Mojoversity, right? We built it with a ClearTax team, so there was a partnerships angle as well. Every sign up that was coming in over here, we were passing on the leads to ClearTax or whoever the partner was we were building with. People were sharing the certificates that they were getting. People are sharing it on LinkedIn. Today, if you just go and search for Mojoversity on LinkedIn, just look at the number of certifications people have. So there's lead gen happening, branding happening, and partnerships happening. So I don't think bandwidth crunch is a excuse that you can use. I think you can do things smartly. You have the tools today. AI has made big leaps.
Yeah.
You can use the time to essentially work on things that make it work.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you know what you want. I think most people fail on a project or anything is because they don't know what to achieve. Karna hai, it's a project for the quarter, we have to do it, so let's do it. No, I said, think backwards, take 2 steps back. So even when we were iterating on Mojoversity, right? So I had my marketing head that time, and I was the content head at that time. My marketing head had different plans, and we had a conflict.
Okay.
We had a conflict that I essentially thought that this wouldn't work, and he thought that mine would. So so I presented my presentation to Sampath directly, saying that this is my vision. This is what I want to do. And he compared it with my marketing. I said, you go ahead because you've been talking to your customers. So talking to the customers, you know the people. You've been here for what 4 years, 3 years now, and you know the heartbeat. So how talking to a customer and being and understanding their heartbeat actually helps you influence stakeholder decisions as well. Right?
Yeah.
If a founder's priority is also to build a company for the customers, then they will definitely prioritize your projects or your ideas. So if there are any marketers who are listening to this, right, and if you're struggling with, influencing your founders or a stakeholder, invest in this project. You need to do your research, put in the work, and understand that this is what it is going to impact. This is my plan. I don't think any founder would really say no to initiative. Yeah. This is something that I've seen.
Yeah.
You take initiative, founders will definitely, and also you back it up with the right kind of research.
That's more important.
That's very important.
Yeah.
And I have been fortunate to be working with people also who have been more than open to my ideas. And slightly digressing from the conversation about community, and this is for marketers mostly, because marketing is seen as a cost center in general. But can you change the perception to it being a revenue center or being a brand center for that matter? Can you change that perspective? You need to really know the ins and outs of your team, how your team functions, how they make decisions. B, how to tie your project with revenue and customers.
Right.
If you can connect these and build the right kind of relationships with internal stakeholders, it becomes very easy to influence and get your project into. Yeah. There are so many people who, like, I've had friends and other folks, marketers, who reached out to me and said that it's really difficult to get my founder to get a go ahead.
Yeah, it's a very common question.
It's very common, right? And I always tell them that are you very confident about this?
Are you convinced?
Are you convinced yourself? Because I don't think anybody says no to conviction.
Yeah.
And founders in general also have a bit of a experimental mindset. Ki haan, ye to karna hi. There is no other way. How will I know what is going to
happen? Yeah.
Right? So if someone comes with conviction and says, ki, this is what I will do. No, this is how I got hired. Okay. so I'm not saying this out of the blue or anything. It's through experience. When Pradeep hired me, I made a 3-month plan. He asked me, like, are you going to be the one who's going to make Bugasura successful? I said, I don't know, but I'll try. I know one thing, that I will try my 200%, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah.
Because you're too early in the business to say that you're going to work or you're not. So even, God forbid, if it doesn't work out at some point, and if we have to shut shop, people will remember us. And people will, I don't think I'll ever dissolve the community.
Of course.
The community is always going to be there.
Yeah. That's another big beauty of building a community.
Yeah. And it extends to multiple things, right? It extends to how you feel fulfilled in your job. Yeah. I think this whole job hopping, right? Yeah. Like, ek saal didn't work out. I feel the culture is toxic. I feel there are different reasons, right? Why do people job hop one year? Yeah. Culture is toxic. I don't enjoy the work. I don't see where my career is going. This is not the main or most popular reasons, or most relevant reasons, right? Relevant also, I'm not saying that they're. But I would say that, have you yourself taken a step back and thought of where you want your career to go and what direction you want it to go? Have you thought of the kind of workplaces that you're choosing, one after the other? Are you repeating a pattern? It's very much like your dating life. Okay. Are you repeating a pattern, guys? Right?
True.
Are you repeating a pattern? And if you're not happy somewhere, you yourself know ki these are the things that you're not happy about and you want to move away from those. Can you do those things? Can you be aware of yourself? Right? Like, for example, for me, I was aware that I want to go on to lead a marketing team because when I was at Instamojo, I was brand and content head. And mostly leading marketing at that point, but we had a separate PR arm, which is now being handled by someone else, and now she has taken it. So I also wanted to know that I wanted to sell something else, I wanted to build something else, and I wanted to go into an early stage company because I want to be a part of something that I have been grassroots level part of, right? And for most people, for a lot of people, this is very sexy. But what they don't see are the unsexy parts, which are, you have days where you feel like your career is gone down the drain, nothing is going to work. Okay? There are days of that. Then there are days where you feel like if something has failed, you feel like you have. Because when you're very driven about your career, or when you're very driven about your passion project, your company, founders have this too. You attach your self-worth to what you're doing or how much money you're able to generate. Right? This is one of the reasons we have built HSR Founders Club, because we know we all go through this. As founders, can we talk to each other? Can we go and cry, have a vent party? Can we go book a rage room and like beat the shit out of things so that to just vent? Because obviously you cannot beat your investors or you cannot go and hit someone or your employees. So book a rage room, let it all out. Cry if you have to. Come, let's go out for pani puri or apna pani bhao. Like, those kind of things. That's why And I think communities also show, especially closely knit communities like ours, they show you that it's not all fancy and rosy. Yes, there are founders who've done this. And if they have become successful, that means they failed 100 times before. Right? So it's about learning from them. But again, one more thing is that they might have followed a playbook which worked for them. But it's not necessary that it will work for you. You will have to figure out, and that will only be out of the expertise that there is a contradictory opinion that your customers don't know what, in SaaS especially, right? Fine, fair enough. If you're building in a very crowded market, that's a good this thing to have. That's a good opinion to have, and you want to build and even in our market, which does not exist currently, we have category creations for that matter. It's the same kind of challenge, right? They also don't know what they want. They know that they have problems, but they don't know what they want. They see, people will, when you talk even in these customer interviews, people will come and they'll have whimsical ideas. Ye kar sakte ho kya? Can you do this for us? It's like, this is a unicorn level feature. How will I put this? Right? But how do you balance that? And how do you know that even if you're saying no to them? By the way, we've said no to so many customers. We have said no because, like I said, we have a 6, 7, 8 member dev team maintaining the current feature set, plus building something for enterprise and customizing it. No, by the way, we can't do this. We can't afford to do it. That's just something that will not work for us. And we'll burn whatever budgets we have for the year, that will burn out. We can't do that. So we say no also. To a lot of customers we said. But now with the community coming in and with a little more budget for to marry community with sales, we are getting a product person now. We're getting a sales person. 2 people in the team who are going to work very closely with me. And now we are going to not say no. We're going to say way lesser no than yes. So it's been an extremely interesting journey. It's been a roller coaster, because switching the hats from marketer founder is very interesting for me. There are nights, days that I'm just sitting at home and I'm thinking, will this work? Where is my career going? Will someone hire me after this? Will someone hire me after this? And then I think, no, there are so many founders who failed, but they've also found jobs later. So that is definitely your anxiety talking. And I'd be lying if I would say that 0 to 1 is super sexy. It's sexy in your heads. It's not. It is more no's and a lot of grueling work.
Absolutely.
And if you're not ready to work hard, then you should not join, because this whole 70-hour week conversation that's going in, it feels irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like I'm working for it's irrelevant to founders also. For my perspective and for founders, because they're working on their own projects. It's their passion.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, it for an employee who they definitely need to have work-life balance and all of that, which is a separate conversation. But for me personally, a 70-hour work week is like, no, I will take off whenever I want.
Exactly.
I have that thing. Like, I know my limits of burnouts, and I know my limits of where I'm like completely breaking down. I will take a pause there, and I tell Pradeep and I'm taking the day off, or I'm taking these days off.
Yeah.
I'm going with it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the culture at Mulya is also very open like that, where I have always been very straightforward. Like, for me, it's like what's in the heart, that's in my mouth, and that's how I'd like to operate, because I don't know how else to operate.
Yeah.
And it's way more less dramatic to operate in this way. I have operated this way all through my career, and I'm operating this way, and I probably will have to operate this way only, because you know what, it's easier to choose transparency than to choose drama.
Absolutely.
Right? You either say or you don't say. Side mein jaake don't say something. Like, have clarity. I think that is a very big point to have for every founder, every marketer, anyone who's building something, who's trying to build something. Have clarity.
Yeah.
And that clarity will only come if you give yourself enough time to experiment with multiple things.
Yeah.
So you experiment, build your clarity, this is where I want to go, and then you go ahead. 100%. So that's just my 2 cents on how I think of my career.
This has been an amazing conversation, Rapti. I think you've not just covered the aspect of what community-led growth or community as a marketing channel is, and thank you so much for that. I think everyone who's going to be watching and listening to this is going to get, if at all they're thinking, or even if they're not thinking in this direction, I think they'll have just a base, at least a base, like small case study, like which you presented today, like what worked and what did not work for you, so that they have a starting point at least. And I think I'm going to be one of them, because I myself has been trying, but I have only looked at partnership with or collaborating with community, which is what I'm doing with SLM now, with a similar thought process that you had. But doing the community bit on my own, I've always felt that it's a big challenge, which now looking at what you've done, it is a big challenge. Of course, it's a lot of effort required. Definitely. And it's not the only thing that you're doing. There are so many other things that you have to do. Right. So thank you so much for that. And secondly, thank you so much for, you are one of those, the ideal person, considering the kind of audience that we get, because a lot of them, we don't expect a lot of founders and CTOs. Right? These are people just like you were in Instamojo, right? Looking towards the next 5 years and how they want to build their career and grow. I think you just, tremendously set that, I would say a benchmark or an ideal course that one can look at following, and, things which are important in that journey. I think you've beautifully covered it today in this session.
Thanks, Ishan, for having me, first of all. I think I really enjoyed talking about community. I generally enjoy building communities and being part of communities and doing this. I think one thing that I would like to add, especially for marketers, right? Then I think it's very important to choose who. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'd like to reiterate or emphasize on this again. Pick the right kind of people that you want to work with. If you're job hopping because of those toxicity reasons or that, you can tell in an interview if this is going to work for you or not. You can tell. You know your heart is telling you that this is going to be a problem. Now, there are multiple types of conversations you can have. There are layers to this conversation. I'm open to having a one-on-one with anyone who feels that they are stuck in that problem. But what has helped me is I've always trusted my gut in terms of the people that I want to work with, even if and it's not the product, it's the people. Because product to 10 ban jayenge yaar. Like there will be the same people will build 10 other products, right? But can they be decent human beings to you? Can you have a conversation with them where they are able to listen to you? Can you have a conversation? Can you have trust between them? That is going to take time to build, but can you have trust with them? And before you expect them to give you, can you give a little to them? Right? I think that is what I'm taking even for the community. And that is why the community works. Because the whole word, this whole coin, the Pradeep coined this word to giver for me when I went to SaaSy. We traveled together, came back together. And he said, Rapti, one thing that I've figured out about you after seeing you talk to people there, you have a tremendous amount of ownership for the product. And you're a giver, essentially. Because I was not only selling Bugasura there, I was connecting people to people. So it was a 2-3 day event, right? So I remembered people that I met. I remembered their problem statements. And if they were not relevant to me, I connected it to a person who was relevant to them. Right? And that resonated with Pradeep and Avinash's core DNA of Mulya as well, where we facilitate relation. If it doesn't work out for us, it's fine. It works out for someone else. It's what it is. And I think that has helped me make the right decisions in my career as well by trusting the kind of people that I'm with. By the way, I've left out, I should mention this, I've left out a bunch of places that I've worked at where I've quit in a week.
You started with 1 day.
One day job, right? ICICI Bank, but there have been 2 more. Right? Which I was at Bank Bazaar for 2 months, 3 months.
That's a lot of time you spent.
Yes, because I tried there, right? But nahi. I was also at another startup before Instamojo. It's called enlightening. There also 1 week. So it's not like I didn't make mistakes and it's been perfectly beautiful for me. I've always known what to do. I didn't know what to do. I also iterated, failed. I went through the same journey that you are going through probably at this point in time, right? In this point in life where you feel like, what the fuck is happening with the economy? I don't know if I'll have my job. I don't know if I'll get another job. Yes, these are valid questions. This is not something that you can push under a rug, and I would suggest don't push this under the rug, right? If you are not happy where you are, upskill, have a mature conversation, and try to pick a project which you can execute in your company along and get your stakeholder buy-in by all the things that we talked about, and see if this works for you, right? If not, you have a failed project. And trust me, if you really, really want to apply at the right places, your dream list of companies, have that. Write them a cold email. Use Ishan's help to write them a cold email, right? And go at it, man. Like there's this thing, right? It's very cliche where you're like, you're not a tree, move if you're not happy. Right? It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to learn from them. And having been in the marketer's journey plus now being in the founder's journey, founders make more mistakes than marketers ever will.
Absolutely.
And the kind of, I'd like to give a founder's perspective to marketers. I think this is something that I wanted to do. Founders feel, or at least the founders that I've worked with, and some of the founders that they feel very responsible when things go wrong. Even you might have had different experiences where the blame was put on you or whatever, and then the culture itself is like pointing at you. But deep inside, the founders generally do feel very, very responsible for any kind of failure happening in the team. You know that. Even if a single person is failing or struggling or has quit for that matter, it is a personal failure. So founders are already operating in a very deeply personal catharsis, and I think as marketers, the least we can do is build a relationship with them so that you both can execute together.
Yeah.
Because, like they say, the first marketer in a company is the founder.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a relationship with your founder, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And if you're in a team where there's hierarchy, etc., right? In a hierarchical place, it's very important for you to build relationships with your hierarchy plus other team members.
Yes.
So one of the things that I used to do at Instamojo is that, and why people felt comfortable working with me and I feel comfortable working with them was, I would help the other teams out even when it was not my job.
Right.
Just because I knew the system when I was like older in the company, just by the number of years.
Yeah.
Someone could come and talk to me and they could like say, Rapti, I don't know where this is. Could you help me? Even if I didn't know, I'll find out.
Yeah.
And I'll help it. And I know next time I have a problem, I'll go to him, pakka help. Because this is how it works. Like, the whole startup journey, the business journey, there's a lot of negative connotations to it where you feel like it's just cutthroat, it's all about money.
Yeah.
But really, it's all about relationships also. Can you zoom out from that a bit and actually look at what you can offer, what you can give? Because if you give, you'll definitely.
It's a matter of just have that start initiating.
Yeah.
Don't wait for others to take that first step.
Absolutely.
Probably just give it a shot, try it out.
Absolutely.
It might work, it might not. That's how it is.
Absolutely.
And with respect to failures, I think that's also something I tell my team. I think failures are very important, right? Life is all about balance, right?
Yeah.
And there's good, there's bad, there's success, and there's failure. If you want to experience and if you're only experiencing success, you're missing out half of the entire life, your professional life, your career as a founder, whichever situation.
Yeah.
You're missing out half of it, right?
Yeah.
So you're not learning at least half the things.
Yeah.
So I genuinely feel that I generally feel that even more important, like failures are more important than success. Right?
Absolutely.
Failures teach you much more than any successful effort would teach you, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that people are very scared of, right? That they want to be perfect, they don't want to make mistakes. They fear making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I tell my team it's okay to have small failures, like momentary failures, right? It's okay to have that and make sure you have that.
Yeah.
Right? Because today, if you fail at a smaller extent, then you're saving for the, saving if, you're at a different scale. And then if you make a similar kind of mistake, the consequences are much higher.
Correct.
It's better to make those smaller mistakes and make more of them so that you experience that entire circle.
Yeah.
In life or in your professional, career, wherever it is, I think it's always about experiencing both sides of the coin.
Yep. And you know what? Life is not going to be easy all the time, right? If you're expecting or if you're seeing or you feel that someone is always successful or someone who's doing very well in their career, doing great marketing, or you're thinking ki Rapti to CMO ban gayi hai, so she can say from there. Guys, no, it's not like that.
It's never
you work every day. You work every day. You work for it. You find out different ways to solve problems. You're putting more of yourself out there. And don't just believe everything that you see on social media. I think a lot of people are now becoming aware of it also. But it's easy to fall into a story trap, right?
Absolutely.
And can you question things like, okay, if this has happened, if Rapti is doing $0 marketing strategy, how is she doing it? Right? Like, question it. So you'll learn something new. Or if not, you'll say, okay, this is fast, this doesn't work for me. Simple as that. There's no point, thinking negative things or like thinking that, oh, this product is going to be bad, it's going to fail. Like, can you actually be the person that makes it successful? I think that was my thing. Like when I told you, right? Initially, there were some of my friends who were like, don't do DevTools. I was like, no, I'll do DevTools. I'll do and see. People hated the name, Ishan. People were like, what is this name? This is not going to work. There are marketers from the community who are like, who I met personally, and they were like, you should change it to something else.
Yeah.
And you should change it to Bugasura. I was like, it's a very interesting name. I will think about it. They thought that how are you going to sell with this in the US?
Yeah. I was just like, that was the
Yeah. You know what? They pronounce us as Bugasura. So it's working. As long as they're paying me money for it. Okay? As long as they're using my platform, they're paying me money for it. It's good. They know the horns, they know the red Bugasura thing, and they know our product.
You engage so much with them. I'm sure a lot of the US customers would have asked about the meaning and you would have explained the entire. That would have created like a wow moment. Oh, wow. Like you thought it all.
Yeah, and we are taking an Indian name out to the US, so why the fuck not?
Yeah,
right? So don't worry about these little things.
Yeah.
I think if you feel like you want to do this and you can, and you have a little bit of belief, even a little bit of belief in you, fan that fire a little more. You know, take that belief and just go ahead. Or it'll be another experience.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much, Rapti. This was amazing. I am sure that's how the feedbacks are going to come in. The comments are going to blow up this time. All thanks to you. This by far has been the most deep conversation, and I think the difference is
in person.
In-person thing. I think I need to start traveling to Bangalore to podcast with people.
Yeah.
So
you're in Bombay.
Yeah, I live in Bombay. Yeah. So like just for some extra shots, can you show your tattoos? You're a tattoo girl. Just realize this one you have more, right?
I have one more. So this is, oh my god, is it visible?
It's okay. It's a rose.
So no, it's a poppy.
Oh.
So my mom's pet name is Poppy.
Oh, nice.
So I got that, and this is some spiritual psychology shit, which we'll talk for another conversation.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of conversation. Yes. I think I could make parts with Rapti. I think there's so much.
We should. I am happy to. We'll talk about different things probably.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Rapti.
Thanks
Wonderful
so much,
having you.
Thanks for having me.
That's it. We'll see you in another episode now. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to
Please do.
SaaSy Talks.
Yeah, please. On YouTube. Yeah.